Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg, a best-of-5 series where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Ancient Cistern. Spotting right here in the top right hand corner, playing with the red Zerg drones from Canada, we have Scarlett. Her opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Terran SCVs, he's from Brazil and he goes by the name of Kelazhur. Alrighty. So this particular series has been on my list of games to cast for a couple of weeks now. For some reason, I almost forgot about this series. I heard, however, that this match is a lot of fun because, well, small spoiler alert, apparently Kelazhur decides to play a lot of Terran MECH. Now, in general, Terran MECH is played at the highest level of StarCraft 2, but certainly not as frequently as just straight-up infantry-based armies. Personally, I am a big fan of watching Terran MECH, especially if it's played in a more active style. Historically, I was never a huge fan of MECH because, well, at least historically, most of the time in Wings of Liberty, for example, people would just sit there, and they would just sit there, and then they would, you know, sit there for a little while longer, and especially in Wings of Liberty, with the mineral fields just having way more resources in them, and in general, just the game being slower, you could quite literally have players sitting there for like 20 minutes before we would finally see an attack. These days, though, MECH is played a little bit differently, usually a lot more active, so I'm not exactly sure if Kelazhur starts off this series with any MECH, but supposedly, assuming I've got the right matchup, yeah, he does bring it out in this particular match. Alrighty, now Scarlett, of course, generally speaking, very good at defending whatever her opponent throws at her. That Reaper, yeah, really wants to get the creep tumor, but it decided to settle for the Zergling earlier, so not enough energy, or not enough, well, life energy. Ooh, very dramatic. Not enough health right there to actually snipe that creep tumor and survive it as well, and I do think you wanna, yeah, rather keep that Reaper around for a little bit longer than lose it. The problem is, as soon as you lose this Reaper, Zerg can think about potentially canceling the Zergling speed, putting down a Roach Warren. Honestly, this entire side of the map becomes, yeah, a bit of a secret, and oftentimes, because of that, a bit of a disaster. Okay, can you get that? Yep, nicely done. Tried to throw the grenade in such a way that the queen would be booped to the side. That would have certainly made it a little bit easier. In the end, though, Kelazhur still got the kill, and I would certainly consider this trip for the first Reaper to be very successful. Yeah, okay, so I wasn't really looking at the production tab there for a little bit, but this is straight Terran MECH. As a matter of fact, it's a double factory opener with the Infernal Pre-Igniter upgrade. Now, when's the last time you've seen this upgrade researching pre-4 minutes? That is not something we commonly see anymore in StarCraft 2 these days. So I know at this point that this is a Terran MECH type of game. The problem is, I don't know if Scarlett realizes it going into this series. Well, she's gonna try and find out. Not exactly sure the games that Kelazhur had shared before this particular match. Anyways, this is a big scout though. Scarlett is gonna see 2 factories and... oh, there's even a fusion core. I was gonna say fleet beacon there, but a fusion core on the back of it too. Okay, so this is an old school build. A very old school build. This is something we used to see back in the early days of StarCraft 2. Roach Warren does start up right away. So the idea right now for Kelazhur is to go for an attack with Blue Flame Hellions. Blue Flame Hellions absolutely tear apart mineral lines. They obviously destroy Zerglings, but one of the problems you run into is that Roaches, even though they're kind of slow and usually they have a hard time engaging against these fast-moving targets, they do end up shutting these sort of attacks down quite nicely. The problem here, though, for Scarlett is not just the Blue Flame Hellions. I think this game is gonna get extra scary when battle cruisers are, for example, inside of the main base, and suddenly Hellions drive by into the third. This is maybe not right away a disaster here for Scarlett, but it can be one very easily. Trust me, I know from experience. Oh, he's actually gonna drive in right now. Oh my god, we're just gonna go in right away? I think that might be a little bit overly greedy. A lot of Lings have already been roasted, though. There's more Hellions on the back of this, too. Kelazhur is hunting for a mineral line. He really needs to get a bunch of drone kills, and it looks like he's starting to get them right now. More than 5 would be preferred, though. Okay, well, 6 is more than 5, technically speaking. In the end, I don't think I like that trait all too much, but considering we're still making more Hellions, it's probably fine. Since we have 2 factories, it's actually pretty easy to replenish those lost Hellions. Normally, this would not be a follow-up that we expect, so normally after the first 10 Hellions, or 8 Hellions, or 6 Hellions, we don't see any additional production. At this point, if Scarlett didn't already realize what she was playing against, it is pretty clear cut. Oh my god, that was almost a disaster again. Yeah, it's a slippery slope, man. So we're even... Hold up. Yeah, we're saving up the battlecruiser. Yamato cannon is coming up. I expected a second battlecruiser to start up by now. We need 300 gas. Okay, yeah, if we're not gonna... if we're not gonna get it out right away, I think we should just... just insert the main base of the Zerg right away with a battlecruiser, okay? Hellions, once again, over at the third base. The harassment is gonna continue. 13 drones have gone down in total. Hellions stopped there for a second to think about their sins that they were about to commit. You love to see it, but they are still gonna be able to get a bunch of drones here in the end. Okay. So Hellions, from the Terran's point of view, not entirely free, but close to being free. One of the problems you run into, of course, with these builds is that you're limited by the amount of gas that you get, right? So eventually you do need additional production too, so some minerals are gonna go to that, but generally speaking, for example, battlecruiser, 400 minerals, 300 gas, your gas income is always gonna be lower than your mineral income, unless somehow, some way you magically made 17 expansions all over the map and you only saturated the gas. In general, the income is gonna be very, very mineral focused, so throwing away those Hellions, not that big of a deal. But the thing is, you're always going to be trading those Hellions for drones, and drones also only cost minerals. Scarlett has been happy to replace all of those lost workers very rapidly. And at this point, she's making 15 more. So she's going 90 plus workers here. Spire is about to finish up. We're going a Roach Corruptor or even a Roach Muta. If she suspects that this is just going to be one battlecruiser, which it's not. I don't know if she's seen the second one. I don't think so. If she suspected it's only one battlecruiser, she might actually decide to go Mutas here instead. Overlords are finishing right now. What is it going to be? We've got so much gas in the bank. We've got so much money in the bank. Yeah, 14 Mutas. I was gonna say. Well, now the second BC shows up. I don't think you're gonna cancel those Mutalisks though. Nah. At this point, Technical Jump is available for both of these battlecruisers too. There's the Yamato cannon. That is a clear indicator that it's going to be multiple battlecruisers, but interestingly enough, only 2. So that's actually kind of interesting. I usually would not expect only 2 with the Yamato cannon research. So, yeah, Scarlett is definitely going to have to double down on the Muta situation here if it is going to be continued battlecruiser play, but with only 2? Okay, there's the third one starting up eventually. It's just a little late. Prioritizing the armory upgrades. With only 2, I think Mutas alone are gonna be quite good. And you know what? Here's the problem, right? Sure, battlecruisers are maybe not necessarily the easiest target to snipe with those flying bad boys over here, but Scarlett is taking care of her opponent's units very rapidly. She can dart around very quickly and, well, even though there was vision there, I think there was a little bit of vision on some of the, maybe the Hellions on the right side of the map or whatever it was, but I do believe Kelazhur had vision of the Mutas for just a split second. He did not, however, start up a whole lot of that defense just in time, and, well, even though we will see this this missile turret in the main base holding strong, 24 SCVs have already gone down, and that is a lot. Cyclones popping out right now inside of the main base. I think the damage has already been dealt. At this point, you can just flood the map, yeah, with more roaches. It's Scarlett who obtains the victory in game number 1. Next up, Gresvin. Good example right there from Scarlett, right? Muta's not normally thought of as a unit that's particularly great against Terran MECH, but if you get him out at the right moment and the opponent doesn't realize that there are Mutas out on the map, you can certainly catch them off guard. But I do feel like Kelazhur could have had a bit of a cleaner defense. I'm fairly sure he had vision of those Mutas before they arrived on his side of the map. He didn't really have anything prepared in advance. I mean, it was either gonna be Corruptors or Mutas, right? So, yeah, if you force your opponent into 2 options, it was never gonna be Hydras. If you force your opponent into 2 options, you really should be prepared for both of them. Anyhow, game number 2, we find ourselves on Gresvin. Kelazhur, maybe a little bit unfortunate in game 1. Opening up with a quick 3rd command center. Are we gonna go mass factory once again, Kelazhur? Could definitely just be a starport right now. Wouldn't mind seeing that whatsoever. Just a 1-1-1. Nope. Okay. 2nd factory once again goes down at the 3-minute mark. Very cool. If that's the case, The reason why this barracks is up close against the factory, it's probably because we're gonna see a tech lab once again. There it goes. And this should be pretty good, although, well, there's once again an overlord lurking off to the side. Scarlett doesn't even have to fly this unit in very far, and she should be able to figure out exactly what she's playing against. Okay. Drones for the time being here for Scarlett. That's always the goal for Zergs in the earlier stages of the game. How many drones can you get away with before you need to start making, well, things that aren't drones? It's actually even more factories coming up already. Okay. So that's interesting, actually. That third factory is quite a bit faster. Is it... It should just be Infernal Pre-Igniter once again. But with the third factory and the second tech lab, he could definitely go for the... Yeah, the Cyclone play. Okay, I think that's what we're gonna do. Not going for the upgrade yet, actually. That's rather interesting. I think we'll probably... There you go, the Mech Field Accelerator. We'll see it started up here as well, soon as what I was gonna say. But indeed, it has come up right now. It makes the lock-on ability of the Cyclone a bunch better. And since Kelazhur is now gonna be able to start pumping those units out 2 at a time, this is gonna be a rather scary army. Not a whole lot of units available yet, though, here for the Terran. If this would have been a straight roach attack, it would hit about the 5-minute mark, maybe a little bit before that. It could have been an absolute disaster. Luckily, right here, though, for Kelazhur, Scarlett has decided to go for a Roach Warren. She's now also gone for a lair as well. So the lair is about halfway done. No Baneling Nest, okay? Banelings can still sort of work out against Terran, but Scarlett's been going a lot of Roach Warrens in a lot of her Zerg versus Terrans, and I think she's sort of sniffed out at this point as well what Kelazhur has got in store for her in this particular match. This could still be scary, though. It's a lot of units. That Overlord never committed, so Scarlett doesn't know much. She's seen 2 Marines. Well, now she's gonna see the barracks as well. When you see the barracks flying around, you know that this is most definitely gonna be mech. One Zergling over here, check in. Okay, so this is gonna make the red LEDs fire up inside of those Cyclones, and it's gonna make the lock-on a lot more terrifying. Those Queens actually can be in a lot of trouble here. 9 Roaches are starting up, but we don't have any sort of Glire reconstitution or anything like that here. Group of Zerglings maybe setting themselves up for the wraparound. Third command center now landed on the low ground as well. Actually, the links are going straight across the map. The units are, yeah, just all army hotkeys straight across. That does mean that these Hellions, well, they need to help out, man. They're right over here at the front trying to slow down the advancement right here of the Zerg, but... Okay. Wonderful counterattack right here by Scarlett. Honestly, really nicely done. Still, this army here at the front is terrifying right now for Scarlett, though. Glire reconstitution, the Roach speed upgrade does start up eventually. Kelazhur also firing up the Infernal Pre-Igniter. I think this is actually a really fun build to play. If you're a Terran player and you're kind of struggling against Zerg right now, I think going for this side, this sort of build must be a lot of fun to play. You are a little vulnerable against Roach-based attacks, and with a little vulnerable, I mean a lot of vulnerable in the earlier stages of the game. So it kind of depends on what your MMR is, I suppose. If you see a lot of Roach cheese, maybe going triple CC, double factory is not the play, but I do think this is a lot of fun to play right now, because at this point, Kelazhur, I mean, if we wouldn't have lost those 9 SCVs, I still like his position a lot, but if we wouldn't have lost those workers, I think it would have been at a very significant advantage. At this point, there's just no answer here for Scarlett. Yeah, Kelazhur just dancing back and forth with the lock-on. That barrack's actually a really nice addition as well, constantly providing vision, so the lock-on doesn't get cancelled. Well, you can do it with a scan as well, I suppose. Not sure why the barracks is over here if we're gonna go ahead and scan. There we go. Just remember, he's still at that bad boy flying around. Couple Roaches going in for the counterattack. We do have a few tanks. They're not sieged up yet, but I don't believe they need to be. Unless there's not gonna be any repair micro here. Hello. Okay, there we go. Repairing at the last second. Nicely done right there by Kelazhur. Microing on the other side of the map at the same time too. Fantastic situation right now for the Brazilian Terran. Okay. 4th command center will be starting here. Double armory in the main base. We'll be going into the mech upgrades too. Spire once again for Scarlett. So, yeah, we didn't have a bad start of the game in the previous one for Kelazhur. But the Mutas definitely did catch him off guard. This time around, Scarlett is once again putting down a Spire. And I don't think we really have to guess whether or not it's gonna be Mutas or Corruptors or anything like that. It should be straight Muta play. Mutas not very good against Mass Cyclone, but it sort of depends on the amount of Mutas you can get out. One problem you do run into here as a Terran player is that, well, you see Mass Roach, you now see that the Roach speed is done. You know that there's always a chance that the Roaches are gonna start knocking at your third base. The Cyclones can only run so far. So you do have to start making a whole lot of those siege tanks. Siege tanks to prevent the Roaches from killing you. If you're making siege tanks though, you're obviously taking up time in the factories where you're not making Cyclones, and that's exactly where the Mutas go once again shine. So it's a delicate dance. It's very easy to accidentally mess up. While Kelazhur does have Blue Flame done right now, he hasn't really killed a whole lot of drones on the other side of the map. 5th hatchery coming up too. I really do believe that this should be countered by the Terran. No vision though here from Kelazhur. A little bit of inefficiency right there. Excuse me. 7 Mutas coming up. Not quite as many. Okay, maybe these Hellions can get something done. I think this third base, or sorry, that 5th base could easily be killed by the Cyclones. Yeah, now the Cyclones are gonna realize that they should have been up there, but I think it might be a little too late. Kelazhur is the one actually going for an attack right now. Okay, this is right at the moment that the Mutas are spawning. Mutas should not be joining into the main fight, I don't think. Although it's very dangerous. Yeah, I think she's gonna send them straight across the map. We do have a bunch of Ravagers available. Okay, there go the siege tanks. We do have some nice corrosive balls right away. Should only connect with 1 tank. Excellent work right there. Mutas actually decide to return back home. Yeah, it makes sense. This is a scary game here. She needs to get rid of all of those Cyclones ASAP. Corrosive balls once again on the tanks. Scarlett says, thank you. No, sorry. I apologize. That was horrible. And she is going to be able to start working right here on all of those units. More corrosive biles. Kelazhur keeps stacking up the tanks. He's a little lucky right here that the biles aren't... Like, if you do that against Serral, he would destroy you. He's a little lucky that Scarlett did not run her biles right there in the middle of those clumped up units. Hellions here in the meantime. Okay, we're driving on by towards the left side of the map too. For the most part, the Mutas have been dealt with, and, well, we've had a lot of time to prepare missile turrets. That's exactly what's coming up right now, as well as additional factories. So, we're going 8 factory. That is kind of nuts. 19 drones here in total, but obviously Kelazhur sacrificed his entire army. He's doing the thing that Spirit likes to do with this forward 4th base. Once you've got that base up and running, this expansion as well as the one over here almost feel free. Spirit also usually makes a wall over here, which I think is very powerful. I've played against that a bunch myself. Super difficult to actually break if tanks are behind it. Anyways, no sign of a wall just yet. Still a good spread right here on the tanks though. Yeah, he might not have the bigger army here, but Scarlett is running a lot of her units to their deaths over here. Okay. These are gonna burn down, it looks like. Reinforcing Terran units are popping out of the factories. I think Scarlett is gonna get pushed back here eventually, to be honest. Yeah. That started off as a good engagement, I think, for the Zerg, but in the end, that was not quite ideal. If we can get a planetary over here too, we've just started up 2 upgrades. I mean, the Mutas have been going to town. I think this may very well be their last little adventure. Okay, and now we're going into barracks production. Now, these barracks are gonna be for one thing only, and I believe that's gonna be the Ghost. In the meantime, though, Scarlett forced out a ton of siege tank, cyclone, Hellion type of armies, right? We've got a Greater Spire morphing in. If you can suddenly whip out like 10 Brute Lords here, there's not a whole lot of anti-air available for Kelazhur. We could see a similar situation as we saw in the previous game, just with higher tier units, right? If you suddenly whip out a round of units that the opponent doesn't expect, there's 10 Corruptors. I think 8 to 10 Corruptors is really all you need. You can deal an absurd amount of damage. Pretty decent Evo Chamber block over there. The drones may accidentally be luring those Hellions into the natural. Yeah, Kelazhur actually scouts it. That's a big scout. I don't think that was originally intended there, but at least now he knows that there is going to be a Brute Lord transition. 10 Corruptors about to finish up. 14 drones have just gone down. That Hellion in the main base. Okay, now gets sniped as well. This is important. Kelazhur fires up Thors. Thors and 3-3 upgrades would be insane. He actually decides to go for an attack right now. This is always a dangerous time to move out, because this is right before Brute Lords are out, but Brutes are expensive. Zerg likely doesn't have a whole lot of money at this point in the game, and the Brute Lords are only in one place at once. It's not like you can really split them up. Not at least at this point in the game. A few siege tanks over here. Should probably be back behind the planetary, but somehow, some way, it's still working out on the roaches. Here come the Brute Lords, though, raining their Brutelings from the skies. Unsieged tanks are going to be the name of the game. We have Thors coming up. I'm a little surprised Kelazhur decides to be this aggressive, to be honest, but apparently he feels like this is the moment where he can shine. That hatchery is going to get bursted down. We're just doing a casual little siege tank drive-by, I guess? He didn't even siege up those tanks. We're just... Look at this. We're just moving around with a bunch of siege tanks on the creep, running away from Brute Lords. I mean, that worked way better. That's siege tank stutter step. Siege tank stutter step is not a normal strategy we see, but I actually really like it. Not only has that actually killed a bunch of bases and a whole lot of Zerg army, it's also bought so much time. Kelazhur right now going to Masthor, getting himself a whole lot of Ghost out as well. Personal cloaking for the Ghost also being researched. 3-3 about halfway done. I mean, if you can max out on another banger of an army, it's gonna be so much more powerful than the previous version of it. There we go. We've got the high impact mode activated as well on the Thors. That gives them a little bit more anti-air range. The mass command center explosion has happened here as well. Maybe not as many as Maru would have at this stage in the game, but Kelazhur getting himself a good amount of income. Zerg going into Adrenal Glands, together with the Baneling Roly-Poly upgrade. That's to counter the Ghosts. At this point, though, there's only 3 of those bad boys. Scarlett essentially teching down, right? She has Brute Lords, but she also knows that she can't really live with the Brute Lords for that long. Careful, though. This is very easy to mess up. One reason why we make so many command centers is to get a lot of orbital commands, so there's a lot of scans available. One tank ends up going down. Cyclone also is gonna fall. Ghost ends up dying. Yeah, don't disrespect the brutes. We're now getting to the point, though, where there's more Brute Lord, or sorry, more Thors than there are Brute Lords. Which is, of course, yeah, just amazing for the Terran. In a straight-up battle, those Thors will win easy peasy, but sometimes the Thors can be caught behind, I don't know, like a round of Brutelings, or the siege tanks, or stuck behind the map. It is still possible. Okay, what are we doing? We're making 7 Dropper Lords. Tactical nuke, by the way, also researching here. What are the Dropper Lords for? I am not sure. Okay, here come the Brute Lords once again. Yeah, this is not a very good angle. There we go. Snipe's gonna be used as well. Beautiful engagement right there by Kelazhur. Okay, we're gonna have a couple of Lings, Roaches, Ravagers, Banelings coming in from the back. The Thors, though, are shooting away at all of those flying hitters. Is there enough for the Terran to kill this? Zerg trying its very best to clean all of this up. And even though I don't think that was the cleanest engagement for Kelazhur, his army is simply too powerful for Scarlett to handle, and Kelazhur ends up winning the game. Royal Blood, game number 3. Kelazhur is gonna start off this match with more barracks than he's made in total so far in this entire series. Okay. A little bit of a cheesy opener right here on Royal Blood. Now, there's a good chance that Scarlett is gonna scout this. The thing is, this is like relatively out in the open, but it's also pretty conservative, right? It's not like the units are gonna spawn in the natural of the Zerg. Anyhow, it is a hatch into a gas, into a spawning pool here eventually as well, so Scarlett is not gonna be able to get a whole lot of units out here very quickly. We're gonna see another supply depot here in a moment, and we're gonna start pumping out 3 Marines at once. If I were to make a guess, we'll see a few bunkers as well. Yeah, right over there in the natural of the Zerg. There goes Jimmy, the commanding officer. You will see the Overlord right now. Getting the OV would be massive. Not going to happen though. But just hurting it a bit is already a good way to insult the Zerg just a tad. Okay. This is very easy to lose against. What does Scarlett do? Second gas taken, Roach Warren goes down. So rather than trying to actually defend against this, I think she's giving up on the natural altogether. Yeah, we're just getting a little bit of larva here. We're just gonna make a queen if we're lucky, but I've got a feeling she's for the most part giving up the net. Okay. Nice little bit of stutter step right there. I think one Marine did go down, but that's a decent trade. Still though, I mean, the natural is still alive. Roach Warren's about to finish. Scarlett does have some money in the bank. Yeah, Kelazhur wants to win the game. Kelazhur is not here just for killing a natural. Okay, come out and play a minute, little drones over here. Try and catch my Marines. Roaches are coming though. The 3 SCVs that build all of those barracks have since gone down. Here go the roaches. Do you jump that? I don't think you jump that. No, I think you just try and deal as much damage as possible. The natural needs to fall though in order to justify this attack. Some energy available on one of the queens for a transfusion. We're gonna see some biles rained over there on the bunker. But I've got a feeling that Kelazhur is handling this very nicely. Yep. Queen goes down. Base goes down. Salvage on the bunker, but it is gonna get sniped. Okay, at least the Brutelings get a bit of damage done. Careful! Getting a Ravager would be nice. Okay, good micro right there coming out of Scarlett. Yeah, if she can get all of those Marines, if those Marines don't manage to make it home, she can actually go for a counterattack. Okay, one Ravager falls. Second Ravager maybe in some trouble too. Okay. Yep, I think that's actually pretty damn good right there for the Terran player. The barracks are going to be flying back home. I don't see how he's going to be able to transition towards mech in this game. Instead, we're going to go and make a command center. Ravagers are thinking about knocking at the front door here of the Terran player. And they will. But I do think there should be enough available for the Terran player to hold this. Yeah, you need high ground vision, right? So this Overlord probably should have been here already. That Overlord is actually about half a minute late with moving. It should have been here already, so the Ravagers don't have to go up the ramp. Like at this point, Scarlett can't rain the biles. And now the Overlord is gonna get close enough and finally the biles can start flying without the Ravagers actually being exposed. Okay, this is still super annoying though. Yeah, supply depots are falling. Supply block right now for Kelazhur. I think he's gonna lose one more depot here as well. I think now it's about time we go back home though. Yeah, there's no way you're gonna deal more damage. It's important not to get overly aggressive. Just march them back home. Fair enough, okay. So you know what? All things considered, big picture. I think this is very playable for both players. Second orbital command, finishing up. Natural expansion for Zerg just done as well. And I think we're just gonna transition right now towards a macro game. So we've got one reactor and double tech lab over here. So this will be a triple Rex follow-up, I suppose. We should see Stimpack and combat shields here. And then probably another attack as soon as those upgrades are done. So there's Stimpack, combat shields, there it is. Okay. I'm gonna have to move the majority of the SCVs down towards the low ground. Third hatchery in the meantime on the other side of the map. Scarlett is of course very behind on her creep spread here. So I would expect those queens to be dedicated to that quite a lot. Okay, a lair starts up. Link speed about halfway done. Where are we gonna take this game from here? I wouldn't mind seeing double Evo chamber here soon and just 1-1 upgrades with Roach speed and an attack at that point, but her economy is a little small at this moment, so maybe that's a bit too expensive to afford. Yeah, she's a little concerned right now about a Banshee follow-up or even a Battlecruiser follow-up. Okay. Double Evo does come up eventually. Bunkers here do get salvaged, do get 75% of your minerals returned, which is nice. Third command center begins as well, and we're having those upgrades finish up here momentarily. I think you should go for an attack. I think it should go right about... Yeah. Probably when these two Marines finish up. Maybe a little bit before that. Do you bring the siege tank, though? I think he should go right now, but it's difficult, right? You never really know exactly how much the Zerg has available. There's a chance you're going for a Stimpack Combat Shield attack into a Zerg who's going for a Roach Ravager all-in. Now the Lynx do get spotted, I suppose. They have their little wings. Suddenly they've got the Lynx speed upgrade, which is really only something you would imagine with either an all-in or a macro game. So it really doesn't tell Kelazhur all too much. Nah, he decides to sit back. Double NG Bay here eventually. 1-1 for the Zerg with Roach speed. Just like I considered earlier. I think it is a good plan. But can you really, yeah, go for a push off of this? I wouldn't mind just seeing a 4th Hatchery, Hydra Den, Lurker Den eventually. Same for Kelazhur. I don't think we're actually going to see him go for a big attack. Other than with maybe some drops. Until 1-1 is finished here inside of the NG base. So that's still a little while away. Okay. So, considering the very explosive start, we're actually playing a relatively normal match right now. That Stimpack was nice and early. Maybe a little too early. Click on the units here. Do they already have 1-1? Not quite. They will finish up their little speedy upgrade though. That's already a little bit annoying. Scarlett, of course, back in the day, very well known for her creep spread. She's still very good at that. A lot of creep tumors going around the map. Yes, I'm spreading the creep too, guys. With my mind. Did you see that? I just aim in a general direction and suddenly the creep tumor starts moving. Being very helpful here. Okay. 6 Overlords, 7 Overlords coming up for Scarlett. The reason why she's doing that is because she's probably done making drones. Or she's making a mistake. Either way, we should see a lot of Roach production here. This is good. This is real good right here for Kelazhur. Yep. Excellent, excellent movement. There's multiple groups of Marines out on the map. Getting the snipe on that 4th base is massive. Don't lose the units over here. Hunting for the drones. These are not Blue Flame Hellions, but they can hunt for the workers just fine. Bit of damage on the hatch. Maybe we can grab it later on. Here's that first squad of units once again, and it's gonna be a kill. Okay. Kelazhur looking dominant here. I mean, to be fair, these are pretty basic attacks. The fact that Scarlett had all of her army in one big ball to defend against 2 medevacs here on the left side of the map is a mistake. I mean, she's forced to split up her units, I get that, but it is, yeah, not easy to defend that. But I think at this level of play, we should certainly expect it. Okay. In the meantime, 4th command center about, well, 3/4 of the way done. 2-2 has been fired up. We've got the concussive shells research. We should be transitioning towards Ghost here in about a minute or two. Looks like another Force Council right there on the other base in the middle of the map. Are we gonna go again? I mean, rinse and repeat, baby. Let's go. Yeah, this is very sloppy. Sorry, Jimmy. You didn't make it. That's very sloppy right there from Scarlett. Good luck trying to do that against, you know, Cyril, Dark, Raynor. It's just not gonna happen. Those are basic things, though. Like literal attacks that we've seen since, like, 2015 in every single game. Scarlett probably not happy with how that's going here. Either way, though, she still has a good amount of supply. Hive is gonna finish up. Bailing speed. We've got Vipers coming right now. +2, +1 over here. So we are making a transition. It's just gonna take a while until we get there. 2-2 inside of the main base of Terran is gonna finish up momentarily. And that's gonna line up with a maxed out army. This is a very scary Terran force. Scarlett is gonna need those Vipers. The Vipers are coming out right now. They need energy. Where are we gonna take this fight, Kelazhur? Kelazhur wandering around a little bit because 2-2 is not done yet, so he doesn't really need to fight. Okay, very good corrosive balls this time around. That's 2 siege tanks down the drain. We have a little bit of a drop over here as well. That's that drop from earlier. Jimmy and his crew. Well, Jimmy is long dead and now his crew also dies, but it does create a distraction over here for that base in the center. And Kelazhur, there you go. Gets the final hit on the hatch. Vipers do now have energy. I would love to see a Ghost Academy by now. Another command center probably also would not hurt. There's the Ghost Academy. Okay. There's been a changeling with this army, by the way, the entire time. For Scarlett. There's some good abductions. Lovely work right there by the Canadian Zerg. We did have one Bingling there in the mix somewhere. Apparently Kelazhur, though, jeez. Just decides to jump it. Okay. Well, that was a very aggressive decision right there. I'm not sure if that was worth it, but at the very least, the entire Zerg army is gone, including one Viper. I mean, yeah, Zerg is gonna be reinforcing this, but this Terran army jumps straight onto the creep. That base, we could have definitely had it. Very Marauder-heavy army at this point, though. There's some Banelings joining in the fray. Banelings rolling into Marauders, though, is a trait that Terrans will take any day of the week. We've got enough right now to lift up, boost away, get back towards the safety of the high ground. We're gonna need to siege up those tanks. Okay, Widowmine added into the mix. I really like the Widowmine there. Kelazhur, let's go. Yeah, Kelazhur is actually such a strong player. Overshadowed a little bit by some of the other Terrans outside of Korea, I suppose, but he's very, very good. 3-3. About a third of the way done. Zerg trying to make that transition towards higher tier units. But it's an awkward moment, right? We now are running, yeah, Roach Ravager, Ling, Bane. But we're really only upgrading the Lings and the Banes. And we've got the Vipers up in the air. Scarlett is trying to reach a better unit comp, but Kelazhur not really giving her the time of day to do so. That said, though, disengagement is not nearly as good here from the Terran player. He is getting rid of a bunch of the Roaches once again, but that's a unit that was made for trading anyways. Good split right there on the Medivacs. That is about 17 creep tumors, rapid fire into the same position. Okay, not a single one starts up. Hydras, by the way, are the transition that's coming up, and Scarlett also planning on going Lurkers here eventually, I would imagine. Kelazhur, by the way, not firing up any ghosts yet. I don't think it would be a bad call right now to make a bunch of those, because the Vipers are providing a ton of value. EMP would be nice. Oh, sorry, I'm too curious. What did I say? Aye, I'll pause, don't need. For me, I already queued pause, I think. I'll give 2 seconds, then pause. Go. Great conversation. I guess there was like a lag spike or somebody disconnected or something. Okay. Matter of fact, drop with Marauders in it. This is a hit squad for killing structures. +3 infantry weapons is done. We're gonna have to thread the needle here between all of those spore crawlers. Okay, well, it's not very effective. Gives the Zerg a lot of time, of course. Fidget spinner Widowmine right there, disappearing into the abyss. Really? That squad of Marauders is actually gonna finish the job they were sent here for? There you go. Zergling run by at the same time as we have a big attack over here in the middle of the map. Blinding clouds, yes, oh my god, big clouds, big biles. Scarlett just shut down half of that Terran army in a heartbeat. And at the same time, my god, she also destroyed the Terran's economy at home. That was overly ambitious, man. We didn't see any respect right there for the Vipers. Clumping up the tanks all together, I think that Scarlett was not happy with how she dealt with that in the earlier stages of this series, but in this game, the biles have been on point, and It's been incredibly powerful. In combination with the Vipers right there, that was pretty much as good as it was ever going to be. Kelazhur's army just dwindled. If we look right here, yeah. At the army size, that was supposed to be a game-winning attack. Now suddenly, Kelazhur had to go down the army roller coaster, I suppose, and this game is a whole lot more even. One thing though that Kelazhur has done here on the right side of the map is secure the gold. He's now going for another little run by here in the top left-hand corner. I think there's a moment though where you have to give up on this sort of harassment, because killing 20 workers is nice at the 4-minute mark. I don't think anybody cares about losing drones anymore at this point. I mean, Scarlett can make 100 workers in a heartbeat if she wants to. Okay. So that was a pivotal moment in this game, I believe. We went from a Kelazhur advantage to a pretty even one, but Scarlett is now transitioned away towards, you know, that Hydraling Bane army instead. Hydraling Bane feels much better in this situation than the Roaches. Only a handful of Ravagers remain. Yeah, Hydraling Bane with Vipers for support is an excellent unit comp. I would love to see a Lurker Den by now as well. I think that Scarlett has the time right now to make that call. That's probably the reason, though, the Hydraling Bane approach, that we haven't really seen a lot of Ghosts yet. Now, if there's one unit composition that you don't necessarily want to be making Ghosts into, it is Hydraling Bane. Like, Hydraling Bane is like the one Zerg unit comp in the late game where you don't actually want to necessarily have Ghosts. And now is when Kelazhur starts it up. Probably a little concerned about the potential here. I mean, EMP is still strong, of course, but probably a little concerned about the potential here for Lurkers. There's a lot of command centers available around the map. Oh, Widow Mines, Widow Mines, Widow Mines! Big connections once again. Parasitic Bomb over there, Blinding Cloud on the tank as well. Bunch of SCVs have gone down. At the same time, we've got a hit squad over here at the Golden Minerals, and that base is not gonna survive. Army here on the left, at the very least, is being cleaned up by the Terran's reinforcements. So that's nice, but it really feels to me that this game is starting to slip out of Kelazhur's fingers. Okay, now this is a good catch. Getting that base over here on the left side. Not bad at all. Command center over there did go down. Hatchery did get cancelled, but there's another base over here on the right side of the map, and that one is basically unreachable here for a while. Kelazhur does still have a good standing army, though. Yeah, don't count him out just yet. Hatchery in the top left also falls. Oh god. I mean, we're splitting, but we don't have enough medevacs to get away from this army, and we're fighting the Zerg on creep. I don't think this is the way to do any of these engagements. That was a very expensive set of units once again, and yeah, I did get two bases, but Terran's running out of juice. This expansion right now is almost critical. We need to get another base up very soon here for Kelazhur, because his resources are gonna run low over the next few minutes. Infernal Pre-Igniter coming up. Kelazhur preparing for a late game that is not here yet. Ghosts taking damage. Widow Mines dealing damage. Well, to both the Overseers, but also to the Terran army itself. And what was previously a really big advantage for the Terran as far as the units lost goes. Yeah, I don't think I like it as much anymore. Scarlett's very scary in the late game usually. She's very comfortable playing the late game, and yeah, okay. You know what? Maybe I've been wrong here. It certainly does sort of feel like this game is slipping out of Kelazhur's hands a little bit, at least the control of it. But there's still enough economy here. There's still, yeah, enough minerals left over to actually rebuild a really powerful army. It's just that we have all these, like, now we're going into sort of a late game army, but we're also making 11 Marines at once. At the same time, while we're also adding on a whole lot of, yeah, well, a whole lot. A couple of Blue Flame Hellbats. We have 8 of them available right now. I think we're gonna need a lot more, yeah, sturdy units. A lot of siege units, like Liberators and Siege Tanks here, if you want to run this. Alright, Kelazhur once again maxed. Base over here did finish the Planetary Fortress. We're gonna start mining those mineral fields real quick. Scarlett is setting herself up for an attack, though, it seems. We're gonna fight over here on the right side of the map, while at the same time the Zerg infestation is coming in from the left. This is miles away from where Kelazhur is currently at. 7 SCVs have gone down. Instead, we decide to go for the counter right now. Kelazhur's main base, though, would be very exposed in that case. Third base orbital command is gonna end up going down. Zerglings over here, yeah, trying to just go after whatever they can. Main base is exposed, but instead we're deciding to go after the economy, take care of the planetary fortress while we're on our way back home. Kelazhur, are you gonna take another fight on creep? I don't think that's what you want to do. Good EMP right there, though, and all of those Vipers. Vipers not gonna contribute, but those Banelings, they're hunting down the soft targets here of the Terran player, and in the end, that entire Terran army gets wiped off the map. Babylon, game number 4. That previous match was a banger, wasn't it? Triple racks into, well, a solid macro game. That was a really fun match, very dynamic. If I was Scarlett right now, I would probably go for a roach push. I would assume here that Kelazhur is gonna go back towards, well, that double factory style. And even though a roach push can be kind of bad into a 1-1-1 with a Banshee, for example, I do think it's actually something that you can, yeah, still deal damage with regardless. So there's the third command center coming down. We'll see the switcheroo here with the reactor as well as the factory in just a moment. Or I guess the switcheroo with the barracks and the factory. Are we gonna go for a starport or are we gonna go for a second factory once again? It's a starport. Okay. So maybe Kelazhur is making the same assumption that I would be making here. That Scarlett would be going for a roach push right now. I think it's still going to be a tech lab. But this is a much more conventional game here. It's always difficult for Terran to figure out exactly what they're playing against, but this is a good map for roach attacks. Where's that, oh, we got a couple of lings apparently. I was gonna say, where's that mule going to right now? We did have a Marine, but I guess the Marine was sleeping on the job. That's actually 2 SCVs going down, plus a bunch of mining time on a mule. Not a bad start right here. Take that, Otto. Otto the Overlord. Apparently Brenda had a bit of a problem with him, but it was only a friendly peck on the... whatever you want to call it. Zerglings once again going around. No wall off here at the front or anything like that. That's a clear indicator right here for Scarlett that it is a third CC opener. It is indeed Banshee with cloaking this time around, and I believe that Scarlett saw, yeah, not only just the green light, but she did also see the starport itself. So this will allow her to just respond, right? So is it going to be a Baneling nest this time around? Now we're going to go Roachworn, okay, once again. And we'll probably see Spore Crawlers right about 445, 450. Then it should line up with a triple CC Banshee opener. First Banshee, though, is going to come across the map a little bit earlier. Scarlett not making spores. Hello? Are we just going to defend with Queens and an Overseer? Is that the plan? Lings in the meantime, by the way, once again being a nuisance on the other side of the map. And this is actually very similar to what we saw in the previous games. This can hurt a lot. Okay, maybe it's not going to kill a lot of SCVs, but it's certainly going to put down a bunch of pressure. Why is this Spore not here? That really surprises me. Banshee cloaking, yeah. It is going to finish up. That's sloppy right here from the Zerg. Again, I really do believe that we should have had Spore Crawlers there. She saw that coming in from a mile away. Anyways, some income advantages here because the workers were running around. Hellions at the third base. Banshees in the natural. Or at least around the area that would be considered the natural. Kelazhur now engaging in the one spot where the Queens actually can defend against both the Banshees as well as the Hellions at the same time. I'm apparently getting very critical here, but I don't like that either. Anyways, factories coming up. Number 2 and 3. So it is once again gonna be straight Terran mech right here from the Terran. 5 roaches, though. Or sorry, 5 overlords, though. Just finished up. Scarlett starts up the hyperflight rotors. Or, sorry. I've been casting games for like 3-4 hours this morning, okay? Apparently, we're going full derp now. Anyways, hyperflight rotors coming up right here inside of the starport. So, Kelazhur planning on making a whole lot of Banshees. At the same time, we've got the roach speed about to finish up. The queens apparently have loaded themselves into the overlords. Some private planes for Brenda, Karen, Margaret, Lily, Susan. All of the queens are here. Obviously, if they're on creep, they can transfuse. And now they're once again on creep. Lovely little attack right here by Scarlett. I love seeing these timings. Scarlett must have recognized that there is a weakness right here in this mech-based army that Kelazhur seems to be favoring. We're gonna run a couple of links over over the supply depot there. They're gonna be heading into the main base. Guess that's one way to counter the Banshees. Roaches right now push themselves up to the main ramp as well. Zerglings in the meantime absolutely demolishing the mineral line. I think that this is going to be the end of the series. There's really no way for Kelazhur to hold on against this sudden Zerg attack. Another example as to why straight Terran mech is not a very popular style. It's Scarlett who obtains the victory 3-1.